Welcome to Lightning Ministries Daily Devotional. Today's topic, be confident. Reading from Matthew chapter 7, verses 7 through 11. I realized that throughout the Sermon on the Mount in this particular passage, through this particular group of verses here, it's asking us to keep asking, seeking, and knocking. But Jesus had been teaching the crowd how to walk with him, to be pure in their heart, to turn the other cheek, or for that matter, to have mercy. Now, let me ask you to imagine this. Jesus was looking around at each person in whom he loved so very, very much. He must have known every wrinkle, laugh line, and scar that their faces had on them. Even more amazing in this particular passage, as we try to put our imagination to work, he also knew their fears and their doubts, and even their hopes and their dreams. In verse 7 it says, "Ask and it will be given to you." But did he really mean that? Is that what he was really trying to get us to understand what he meant? Realize that asking the Father for anything requires what? Faith, to believe. Not only in his capacity to meet our needs, which is, food, shelter, clothing, but he also desires even more for us. And that's why Jesus reassured his listeners, that's you and I, with visible, tangible examples of a loaf versus a stone and a fish versus a snake. Now, if you and I want nothing more than to give good things to our loved ones, that's, our family, Jesus says, can we trust that God in the perfect love desires to give us even greater blessings? Greater blessings. Wow, can you imagine that? I realize that when Jesus tells us to ask, he is confirming our identity as beloved children of the King, of the kingdom for that matter. And he's even more able and willing to meet our needs and even for that matter, part of our believing that you and I are loved ones to make a request. Because if we're praying and we're asking and we're seeking and we're knocking, that whatever that we need for even today, we can ask with not only in a point of thanksgiving and appreciation, but a point of confidence, knowing that God is going to answer our prayer when we are asking in whatever he deems best for our lives. Now remember, if you ask for a loaf of bread, you're not going to get a rock. And if you ask for a fish, you're not going to get a serpent. So my thought to you today, to be more confident in asking, is to allow your walk with the Lord to be one that not only pleases him, but one that exonerates you in a sense of believing that whatever you ask for. Now let me say this another way. It doesn't mean that you don't do anything. Like if you're hungry and you're asking for food and you have money, what do? You go to the store and you buy food, and God provides for you in the sense of being able to work to make the money to go buy the food. That doesn't mean that he couldn't put a bag of groceries on your doorstep if that's what was required. But most of the time when we ask for certain things, are we asking for our own motives? Is our hearts right? Or are we seeking the Lord's will in what we're asking for, not just in a selfish manner? Regardless of what God is doing to you today or through you today, in what I'm sharing in this particular message in Matthew, is to remember that we need to ask, seek, and knock, and learn that whatever we're asking God for, he will provide. But you got to believe it by faith. Trust in him today. Have a